Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Valoppi. I'm the founder of the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program. I'm also a longtime newscaster, television journalist, and author. And this program is here to support the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program. Today, our guest is what I like to call one of our men of today for the Women of Tomorrow. He also happens to be my husband. His name is Christian Mahé de Berdouare, and he is the founder and CEO of a fast casual restaurant that's very popular here in South Florida. It's called Chicken Kitchen. It started originally in New York some 40 years ago, and now it's located primarily in South Florida. There are 30 stores currently, and it's expanding all over the place. It's famous for a couple of things. We can talk about that in a few minutes. But I think, Christian, what we wanted to start on for people who want to get into the restaurant business. I mean, there's so many people who want to get into the restaurant business, I think because people like food and because it seems like an easy thing to do if you can cook. But I know from my experience with you that the restaurant business is definitely not the easiest business in the world. And something like 50 to 80% of restaurants fail within the first 5 years. You've been around for decades. So what do you think is the key to longevity?
Probably being a little crazy.
Yeah, well, that we know. Anyway, okay.
Well, let me first correct a few things. First of all, it's been
I got it wrong.
42 years, not 40. Maybe 40,
right.
42 actually.
Okay.
The second thing is I'm the chief chickenologist.
Yeah.
And it's very important that you mentioned that.
Okay.
And number three, we have 33 restaurants, not 30.
Okay.
So 29 company-owned stores and 4 franchises.
I was averaging.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't average.
I was averaging. So Chicken Kitchen is some of the longest running and most profitable restaurants in the fast casual space, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So, I mean, well, in order to be successful in the restaurant business, yes, over 90% of restaurants actually fail within the first few years. Mm-hmm. And the reason is because everybody thinks the restaurant business is an easy business. As a matter of fact, I think that the restaurant business is probably one of the most sophisticated and most difficult business to manage because you need a lot of talents in a lot of different aspects of being a businessman.
Right.
For example, if you pick the wrong location, one single decision that you can make can absolutely destroy, the chances of making money over the long term. Then once you open the restaurant, you have to train the people, you have to open the restaurant, then you have to be good at marketing your product. You need to have enough money to actually spend money on marketing. So you have to be good at finances. Very difficult to finance restaurants as well because the banks do not like to lend to restaurants. So there are all kind of aspects to running a restaurant business that make it extremely difficult not only to run, but also to be profitable at it.
How about staffing? Staffing's always a big problem for any kind of a business, but in particular for the restaurant business, because there's a lot of turnover in staffing, right?
Well, traditionally there is a lot of turnover, but I'm very proud to say that at Chicken Kitchen, I'd make it a priority of taking good care of our people. Mm-hmm. I actually, if they need a loan, if they need help, I'm always there to help them out. Mm-hmm. And I treat my people like I treat family. And I think that really helps a lot. And the cost of also training new people is extremely high because you have to teach them again, the whole process. And for me, I think it's cheaper to actually pay a little bit more money than everybody else does in order to attract good people and make sure that, you kind of, take good care of them. And as a result, we actually have one of the lowest turnover. So it's really a philosophical question. And everybody that comes in contact with Chicken Kitchen is amazed by how long some of the employees have been with us. I have Gino in South Miami, one of my stores, that actually started about 40 years ago and is still with us. Mm-hmm. I have multiple managers that have been with us for over 20 years. And it talks about the way we treat our people and the fact that we treasure them. Because without great employees, you don't have great business.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned treating people like family. One of the most important people in the room is Bakara. This is Bakara, who I neglected to introduce. This
yes,
is
and he's not happy about it.
Our dachshund, who will make occasional appearances every now and then. I'm quite certain of that. Okay, so that addresses corporate culture issues, but a lot of what has to do with success in the restaurant business also has to do with the creativity with the food. For example, Chicken Kitchen is known for chop chops, okay, which are essentially the original rice bowl.
We invented the rice bowl,
right?
Back in the 90s.
Which is called a chop chop. Mm-hmm. And also, Chicken Kitchen has a bit of a cult following, and I would say it's because of the chop chop and also because of the mustard and curry sauce.
All the sauces that we prepare freshly, yes.
But especially the mustard and curry one, which everyone knows. So how do you come up with those kind of concepts? And isn't that what really makes a fast casual restaurant special?
Well, first of all, what Chicken Kitchen does is that we started in the mid-'80s when food here in America was McDonald's, Taco Bell's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and all these. Mm-hmm. And my vision, having come from Europe, was to give actually a higher, better quality, freshly prepared food, mm-hmm. which didn't exist at the time. So I came up in 1991 with the Chop Chop, which is basically the first rice bowls, and then Chipotle and everybody else copied us. But I think what really makes a restaurant successful is A, giving what consumer want, and B, also following with the evolution of consumer taste and habits so that you constantly refresh the menu and constantly give consumer what they want. So Chicken Kitchen started with rotisserie chicken and other products, and now it's a vastly different concept than it used to be 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So what makes Chicken Kitchen unique is that we use freshly prepared chicken, not frozen. We marinate it for 24 to 48 hours in natural ingredients. And then what we do that is very special is we have an open flame grill, which is a very healthy method of cooking. We grill the breast, which is boneless, with skin on, chicken breast. And Chipotle, for example, only serves dark meat chicken. So we are one of the few concepts that sells white meat chicken. And we grill it, we chop it right in front of you, and then we mix it with a base of yellow rice, brown rice, or Chipotle rice. And then you can top it off with lettuce, tomato, guacamole, sour cream cheese, and customize. I think there is a few billion combination of how you can customize your own bowl.
And cilantro rice.
And yeah, I said that. But
you said Chipotle rice. You didn't mean that.
It was a cilantro rice, correct. And then what is unique is that we have a very special sauces mm-hmm. that you can pour on top of your bowl, and you make it for a very unique taste experience.
How'd you come up with the Chop Chop, which, by the way, you trademarked the name, right?
Yes, we do.
Because a lot of people try and use that.
And then Pollo Tropical, which is another chain here, copied us and introduced the Tropi Chop, but we are the original Chop Chop, and it's mm-hmm. a national trademark. And our concept is an evolution of the last 40 years. Mm-hmm. And what I do is I make sure that the consumer gets what they want. You got to listen to them. And Chicken Kitchen today is probably one of the most profitable fast food chain in the country. I consider myself the Formula One of fast food in terms of performance and profitability.
But I think success for a lot of people in any profession has to do with identifying something that people want and then producing it. And in the case of the Chop Chop, which is so popular in South Florida, really somebody was asking for chopped chicken with rice, right? Wasn't that how it started?
It's a long story. In those days, I used to work in the restaurant, and I used to actually grill on the chicken on the grill. That's another discussion of all the trial and tribulation that I went through over the last 40 years. And, the multiple times that I lost everything. And I know you and I.
Multiple times I've heard this story.
Anyway. So my cousin, his name is Laurie, used to work for me. So Laurie went to Alex and said, you know what, Alex, I would like you to get me a little bit of yellow rice, and then I would like you to take the chicken and just chop it in small little pieces and mix it with the rice. And I'm going to eat this for the next few weeks because I cannot really eat a lot of solid food. And so they would joke around, and Alex would say, chop, chop. And eventually that's how the Chop Chop came about.
Okay. So life is born from... not mistakes, but from incidental things that happen that somebody picks up on.
Well,
says, let's make it a habit.
Exactly. You have to pick on that because in those days we used to sell a lot of pita pockets. You remember in those days when you were going on TV that you used to love the pita pockets? But the pita pockets was a pain in the ass. You had to prepare, you had to cut the little pieces, you had to open the pita pocket. Sometimes the bread would fall apart. You had to put the breast inside. So I saw that as a golden opportunity, to basically shift from the pita pockets to the chop shop. And the whole lesson that I want to give is you have to really be very nimble. You got to make a decision on the fly, and you got to recognize opportunities. And one of the most important things, for all your, audience, is that in order to be successful, you got to make lemonades out of lemons. And that's probably, a whole segment that we can do together.
Yeah, those were the days when I was anchoring the news, and he used to actually bring me lunch and dinner every day in between shows.
And Francesca, the old Doxy,
my original
used
dachshund,
to love Chicken Kitchen.
Francesca, yes, she did love Chicken Kitchen.
And so does Baki. He loves his little chop shop.
Now I'm lucky if I order myself, right? So anyway, let's talk about consistency across locations. How do you make sure that you have consistency across locations? Because when you have multiple locations, that becomes one of the biggest problems.
Well, it takes a tough guy to make a tender chicken, and that's what I do.
Okay.
So I consider myself a very detail-oriented, picky, and very demanding boss. And so training is very important. Picking up the right people, teaching them the proper way, supervising them the proper way. I mean, there is a whole lot of things that go into having consistency, throughout a chain.
All right, let's talk about corporate culture. Let's talk about corporate culture in Chicken Kitchen. What do you expect from others in the workplace?
I expect total obedience and total, I'm just kidding. I expect a lot. I think that young people today think that they want to work from home. They want to work, whenever it is convenient. They don't want to work on weekends. I know that there is a culture in Silicon Valley. They call it the 996, which is work from 9 to 9, 6 days a week. I call it the 10-10-7. My philosophy is 10 a.m. because I want to take a little time to read about things that are of interest, do a little bit of, gym and stuff. Start at 10, work till 10, 7 days a week. And that's what it takes. If you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to be successful, you're going to have to put 10-10-10 and forget about the 9-9-6. But you're going to do that for 10 or 15 years. And then guess what? When you're going to be my age, if you're going to be successful, then you can have all the hours in the world if you want, and you can really enjoy your life. Instead, if you slack at the beginning, maybe you're not going to have the success that's going to allow you to have the lifestyle that you want later. So my advice for you guys, if you start in light, 10-10-7, no 9-9-6. And ask yourself, what can I do to any boss that you have? What can I do for you, rather than the boss saying, what I can do for the employee? You got to be one of the things that I tell everybody, including my kids, your attitude is what's going to determine if you're going to be successful or not. What can you do? Ask yourself every single day. Ask your boss, what can I do today? Instead of staying 10-10, stay to 10-11. And the more you do that, then the more successful you're going to be.
Well, I think working 7 days a week gets a little excessive because people need a day off to mentally recuperate. So you generally take a day off, at least a week. And I know you work very long hours every day and into the evening and stuff, but you have to have a break also.
Well, the way I structure my day is different than anybody else. I'm not saying that you have to do the whole 10 hours in a straight line. I like to go, for example, for a walk every day for 2 hours. I actually take my iPhone with me and I actually do work when I walk. And but you need to balance it out. Take an hour, for a lunch break. Take 2 hours maybe for going to the gym or something. I'm not saying that the 10 hours should be continuous work, but you gotta be. When I stop working, I do another maybe 1 or 2 hours of reading, because being curious and reading a lot is very important. If there are some areas that I'm not really good at, and there are very few ones, just a joke. I actually try to learn, and I try to educate myself. I didn't go to college. I dropped out of college when I was 19-year-old. So I think that continuing education, especially today when information is so readily available, is critical for the success of younger people.
So, what's the number one rule for leadership, in your opinion?
Do as ask people to do how you do it as well. If I go to a restaurant, I started literally cleaning bathrooms and grilling on the grill, and so there is not a position in my restaurant that I do not know. So when I go to a restaurant and I see somebody not doing the right thing, I'm not doing it from a position of of power. I'm doing it of a position of knowledge and of knowing how that position should, that task should be done. So I don't tell them do it like this because I'm imposing it to them. I'm telling them do it like this because I've done it and I know that the result is going to be a better product or a better experience for the customer.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your upbringing because you grew up in Ethiopia, right?
Yep.
And you also lived in Italy and London and Paris for a while before you came to the United States. But your formative years, your childhood years were growing up in Ethiopia. You speak like 7 languages, something like that. How did growing up in Ethiopia impact your view of the world?
Well, I mean, I lived in a very, very simple life. There was no TV. There were no distractions. So I had a very healthy life. I never did any drugs. I drank moderately, just sometimes to a fun. I was very outdoorsy. I used to do a lot of sports. I think that today's youth should spend more time outdoors and less time playing games. Mm-hmm. So I believe in a balance of intellectual stimulation and physical stimulation also. Mm-hmm. So I think that my mother was a wonderful mother. She loved me very much and I had an amazing upbringing. So I think it was a very simple, healthy, not very materialistic as well. Mm-hmm. And I think it really helped me to build my character and to build my ethics as well, and a view of the world, really.
You lost your father when you were 1 year old?
Yes.
Yeah, he was in a car accident.
Yep.
Do you think that taught you resilience?
I think the fact that, unfortunately, or fortunately, the fact that I didn't have a father was probably one of the most impactful event in my life, mm-hmm. because I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have financial support. I left home when I was 18. My father left me $10,000, which in those days maybe was like $50,000, which was a lot, but it wasn't a lot because when I went to live in Paris, it was enough to pay maybe 1 year of rent. Mm-hmm. So I went to Paris and I went to college. And after a few months, I realized that's not what I wanted to do. And I started working when I was 19. Mm-hmm. And I think that not having a father, basically, and not having money, gave me the drive and the determination to be successful. Mm-hmm. And had I had a rich father, I'd had a father that was maybe pushing me to go to college, would certainly not have made me into the person that I am today.
Mm-hmm. So you grew up in Ethiopia, which is a very poor and small community, and then you ended up in the United States. That must have been some kind of culture shock for you.
I mean, it was a very major shock. Not only was a major shock from, it was like being literally catapulted in a different planet. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember being in New York was probably one of the scariest, things of all, where you have all this concrete when I was used to have all these green and open spaces. For me, being in a concrete jungle was really very affected me mentally as well. And I was imagine being this 18 or 19-year-old kid that comes from Africa and being literally dropped in the middle of a concrete jungle. Not only jungle in terms of physical, but jungle in terms of, the way the people deal in business. I mean, I was like a little lamb being devoured by the wolves. Mm-hmm. And it was mentally very challenging and very difficult.
And that's when you first started Chicken Kitchen, and then you eventually brought it to South Florida.
What I didn't start Chicken Kitchen was a Greek guy that started it in 1983, actually. 1983. That's why I said it's been close to 43 years. But I got involved in 1985, and I basically changed completely the concept. So I consider myself the founder, even though I wasn't the one that started it. Paul Sapunaki started it in New York, but I evolved the concept dramatically, and it's completely different from what it was, 43 years ago.
What do you miss most about Ethiopia?
The camaraderie, the simplicity, the lack of material stimulation. Just because you don't have a lot of choices, life was very basic. The friendship that I used to have with my close friends was amazing, and the trips that we used to take all together. I mean, the sense of community, the camaraderie, the friendship. It was literally like a big family.
You still have a lot of good friends here.
Oh, I do, and I have wonderful friends. But and I think actually it's in the last few years, the kind of friendship that we developed together have been really as good, maybe if not even better than what I used to have when I was young. But when I was young, I was maybe 16, 17. I used to have friends that were in their 40s. So I always kind of hanged out with much more mature and much older people. It was so light and so fun. And I guess it's just because I didn't have all the worries and the responsibilities that I have today.
I think it's hard for a lot of people to imagine a time better than having been a teenager and having had somewhat of an idyllic life, because life is, for a lot of people, they don't have the worries. Some people do, but a lot of people don't have necessarily the worries and the pressures when they're a teenager. So they reflect on life a little differently. Let's talk about being an entrepreneur, because, 90% of successful entrepreneurs statistically have failed at least once. I know you will say you failed 2 to 3 times in business and lost everything. What does that mean, that you fail and are able to come back?
Well, in this age of AI, I think that it's a dream period to become an entrepreneur. However, in order to be an entrepreneur, first of all, in order to be an entrepreneur, I think that you need certain skill sets that not everybody has. And secondly, in order to become a successful entrepreneur, there are all kinds of other skill sets that you need in order to make it, because of all the curveballs that are thrown at you. So number one, you have to have a certain skill set to be an entrepreneur, which not everybody has. And the second thing is you need skill set in order to, take the blows that come with being an entrepreneur. So let me talk first about the first skill of sales. In order to be an entrepreneur, you need to have an incredible burning desire that literally comes from the inside of your gut. That's the only way I could literally describe that. You have this desire to literally build something that is going to be your baby. So I think that's the best way I could describe. In order to be successful and have a long-lasting entrepreneurial career, you need to have first of all, you need an enormous ability to deal with pain, because the amount of pain that you're going to go emotionally and physically, because of the amount of hours that you have to take, to put every day, and the amount of pain mentally that you have to go every time you have to have a setback. You have to be an eternal optimist. You need to have a very high sense of your skills, and you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your mission. And for example, with me and Chicken Kitchen, like I said, I think I've lost everything 3 times, but that's for another discussion. I literally lost everything. I'm not talking a little bit. I lost absolutely everything at least 2 times. When I met Jennifer, and when I had, my first divorce and I lost everything, I literally had $500 in my hands in cash, and I probably had $50,000 in credit card debts. And I still, at the time, at the lowest of the lowest, I still believe that Chicken Kitchen could be an amazing, brand in the future. I still believe in myself, and I knew it was just a temporary setback, that eventually I would regroup, I would learn from my mistakes, and I would come back, and I would come back bigger and stronger. And so the story of my life is a story of determination, is a story of belief in yourself, And in the story of you don't quit until the fat lady sings. The fat lady has not sung, and I'm going to be the one who has the last laugh.
So it's a story of resilience.
Yep.
It's a story of
Yep.
resilience. And where do you think that resilience came from in you?
Maybe a little bit of desperation because I had no other choice.
Yep.
So when you have no other choice, the only choice is up.
Yep.
So I had no choice. I mean, I could have, gone to work for other companies. That really never appealed to me. So that was a zero option. So I think that a little bit of desperation, not having too many other choices, it's a very good starting point.
Desperation breeds answers.
And breeds resilience and self exploration, learning from your mistakes, getting better, and going back at it. And if you fall from the saddle, you just dust yourself up. You go back on the saddle, and you go back again in the middle of the battle.
A lot of people consider themselves entrepreneurs, but I guess the question is, do other entrepreneurs consider them entrepreneurs? So what is it you would say is the number one trait? I know we've already talked about resilience, but what else do you think it is that makes someone an entrepreneur and makes an entrepreneur different from other people?
I think one of the greatest qualities, and probably one of the things that I am the proudest to really have learned, because I didn't know how that in me, is the fact that every time there is a setback, if you really think about it very, very, and you ponder and you reflect and you meditate on it, there is always an underlying silver lining. Mm-hmm. So what you need to do is every time that there is a setback, you literally have to understand what is that message. And some of it is about you doing some improvements. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is on the product that you're, for example, trying to sell. So every time I had a setback, A, I improved myself and became better and stronger. And B, on the product itself, by questioning if the product was not working, you actually go back, you refine it, you make it better, and you go, you make it, and customers eventually like it better. So it's literally setbacks or failures are opportunities to fine-tune, to improve yourself and the product that you're working at.
Mm-hmm. Fixing mistakes, making things better all the time.
Constantly.
Growth is, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So you have to be constantly looking for new ways of doing things.
And in motion. You have always to be in motion. Mm-hmm. I tell my kids, I tell everybody, you can't be stopped doing nothing. Even if it's bartending, whatever job you got to do, take a job because you never know the opportunity. You could be bartending in a bar. Jeff Bezos walks in. He recognizes that you're an amazing salesperson or you're a great bartender. You have amazing qualities. He might hire you to be his personal assistant. Mm-hmm. So you never know what's behind any menial job. Get a job, be in motion.
Mm-hmm. What mistakes did you make early on that you don't make now?
There would be too many to really go. It's, we all make mistakes, and the key is to learn from the mistakes, not repeat them.
Yeah.
And most importantly, really have to really think, because the lessons you get from mistakes are much more important than the lesson that you get from success.
Where does respect factor in leadership?
Respect is extremely important. Treat others like you would like to be treated. Mm-hmm. I know that sometimes I'm a little rough and I'm very demanding. Mm-hmm. So I've actually learned over the last few years of being demanding without being difficult. So that's a skill that I'm learning. Mm-hmm. But I think it's very important to have respect for the people you work. I think it's very important to treat the people as well as you would like to be treated. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very important to treat the people that work for you like family. And that's what I try to do every day at Chicken Kitchen.
How has your leadership evolved over time?
My leadership has evolved from being extremely demanding and sometimes maybe a little bit, a little bit, how would I say the word? Maybe you can say it.
Softer?
Yes, softer, a little bit softer. Obviously, I'm much more mature than I used to be. And you just, like I said, you learn all the skills and you refine them and you become a better person.
More patient.
More patience.
More patient, more understanding.
Yep.
Okay. Yes. And a little bit more focused on leading rather than just, getting upset about things and ordering people around.
Yep.
The idea of creating a leadership quality in someone else. You keep referring to your children, but they're actually our children.
Yes. Well, some
So,
of my others are not
well,
two.
they're
Two of them.
they're
Yes.
our children. So when you try and impart a leadership quality on kids, when you try and teach them that, what sorts of things do you want your children to know, our children to know about being a leader in today's world?
Being a leader on today's world is, I think that you cannot be a leader without gaining the respect of the people that you're trying to lead. So the first lesson is you need to actually know every single aspect of the business that you're trying to be a leader in. So my son Jordan is working with me. He started working like me in the kitchens. He went to clean bathrooms. He spent 2 or 3 years on the grill, learning how to grill chicken, at the chicken kitchen, so that when he actually tells somebody you have to do it this way, he knows what he's talking about. So it's very important in order to be a leader, to be a very understanding, be empathetic, understand that people have challenges in their lives, and work with them. Every time one of my people, need help or need time off, no problem. I'm there to help them. I'm there. Same thing with me. My employees are like my customers. So I always think, what can I do in order to make their job more enjoyable, to make their life more enjoyable? If there is any way I can help them to have a better life, that's what I do. And that's, I think, what is inspiring leadership.
Talk about risk taking. How do you decide when to take a risk and when to pull back?
It's all about risk-reward analysis. You have to understand what is the upside of a decision, what is of the downside. So in an ideal world, you want to have the smallest, downside risk to everything you do with the most upside. And that's the same philosophy that I've successfully used in my personal investment, being it in the stock market or buying real estate. It's all about analyzing risk and figuring out what is the downside, figuring out what is the upside. Do not make decision rashly. Think it over. With ChatGPT or any other AI model today, you have a PhD level advisor that can help you make that decision. So I use it constantly, like I do every single day now in my life, and ask around. Try to get people that know the sector well, ask them questions, and then come up with a decision, and then make decision quickly. Do not make decision slowly.
You and I both like real estate as an investment. And at one point, we had the Pablo Escobar house, the house that used to belong to Pablo Escobar here in Miami Beach. And that was something that wasn't even on the market. You went out and looked for that. You found it, and you managed to, secure a deal to purchase it. Tell me about that and why you were so aggressively going after Pablo Escobar's house.
Well, I mean, if I had the money, I would have bought 50 properties on North Bay Road in Miami Beach. Because to me, I think I'm a visionary, and I actually have a gift of seeing things before they happen. And this has been throughout my life. And sometimes great real estate is not available, listed on the MLS. So what you need to do is you need to identify properties that you like. And by the way, I do this at Chicken Kitchen as well. I identify the one that I really like, and I knocked on the door of the seller, and I did the same approach. And eventually, I made him an offer that he couldn't refuse, and we bought that property. And I didn't do it just because it was Pablo Escobar property. It was basically because it was a gorgeous property with 175 feet on the water, with gorgeous downtown views, beautiful sunset. And I know it was a prime asset that would never lose its value.
So we found a safe on the property, and it became a big thing, and it was a big media deal, and there were a lot of articles written and a lot of television coverage and that sort of thing. And one of the things that our crew here had seen is that you talked about in one of the articles how you wanted to make sure you didn't have any of Escobar's negative energy in the house or
juju,
on the
like
property. On the property. So why don't you?
No juju.
So why don't you tell everybody what we did?
I think we actually got Monsignor, what's his name, Patrick?
Yeah.
The Monsignor from, St. Patrick's
St.
Church.
Patrick's Church.
Which we actually love. He's a wonderful human being. So we actually invited him for dinner, and he brought some holy water, and we went to the property, and he went around blessing the property, and I think the children went away.
Well, we were all laughing about that yesterday because they saw that you were quoted on that in an article.
Yes.
Let's talk about AI. I know you're a big fan of AI. You're a big user of AI. You're an investor in AI. How do you think AI is going to revolutionize first the restaurant business, and then we'll talk about how it is going to revolutionize everything else? Tell me your thoughts.
First of all, it revolutionized my life. I mean, now it's like, I mean, being an entrepreneur is very lonely as well. I've been it's lonely, they say, at the top of the pyramid. I'm not saying my pyramid is very big. I'm a small little ant compared to all the successful businessmen around the world. But it's been lonely. I mean, I've been 42 years by myself. It's very difficult to make a decision without having access to a lot of professional talent, but professional talent at the highest level is very expensive. So if you want to speak to an expert in real estate, or to speak to a top bankruptcy attorney, or a tax attorney, or a demographics, expert for Chicken Kitchen, I mean, it takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of time. So, for example, now I'm in the process of opening, 80 to 100 restaurants for Chicken Kitchen in the next 6 years. And so the first thing that I have to figure out is, based on my existing 33 location in South Florida, to develop a real estate model that allows me to make the least amount of mistakes when I go around and drive with my son Jordan. He and I, every Saturday and Sunday, we go up in Broward, Palm Beach, scouting for location. So how do we make the least amount of mistakes in picking up a real estate site where Chicken Kitchen is going to be successful? So in the old days, you would spend $500,000 hiring, a consulting firm, hire demographic analysis, hiring traffic pattern analysis, all kind of expert, would have cost a fortune, would have taken 6 months. Today with Chapti, I call ChatGPT Chapti. It's my best friend today, outside of Bacarito here. So with the help of Chapti, I put the input, and it's very important, garbage in, garbage out. Very important that the question that you ask is as precise and as close to what you really want as an answer as possible. Otherwise, you're going to get the bad answer. So I've been working literally for the last 48 hours in putting together a site pre-qualification scorecard for every single location. And if I had to do it in the old days, it would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and months of work. Today, with the help of technology and AI, you can have the help of the best expert, PhD level expert at your fingertip. So utilize AI, use it every single day. I don't make any decision. I don't send any email without having AI Chapti review it firsthand. And it's so cheap. So get the subscription, use it, learn, go on YouTube. You can learn literally any skill in the world. Between Chapti and YouTube, there is no excuses not to be successful.
I used to edit all his emails and letters, and now
That's it. You're unemployed now.
Now he sends them to me, and they're
Chapti
so
replaced
good
you, baby.
with ChatGPT. There's, my work is reduced.
You're obsolete, honey. Now you can read it and tell me if you like it.
Well, that's not true, because sometimes they're wrong. But anyway, we'll go there.
But am I a great writer now?
Well,
I mean, really, I'm shocked. Right?
I don't know that I would say you're a great writer.
Well, I mean, it's a back and forth between me and Chapti.
Okay.
I give her the input, she comes back, and bim bam boom, and then you have a great output.
My eyes are the strongest muscle in my body because I roll them so often.
So show me how you roll your eyes.
No, so let's talk about AI in general. What do you think is going to happen in the next decade with AI? Next 5 years, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, first of all, I think it's the most significant and most important revolution of the last probably 100 years. It's actually even more impactful than the internet or anything else. Yeah. I think the thing I'm the most excited is that it's going to help probably find the cure for cancer and find cure for all kinds of diseases. Mm-hmm. It's going to help us to make the world a better place. Is gonna, I mean, the changes are gonna be so amazingly powerful, but in a positive way. And obviously, there's gonna be dislocation in people's lives because some jobs are gonna be obsolete, but new jobs are gonna be created. Every time there is new technology, some jobs disappear, some new ones are created. So I don't think it's gonna be a net negative. I think it's gonna be either equal or actually a net positive. Today, for the build out of all these data center and everything else, we don't have enough electrician, plumbers, construction workers, and we're going to have a boom, in that sector. So I think that as long as we keep the eye on the ball and the politicians keep an eye on making sure that we restrict, the things that they can do and cannot do, I think we're going to be okay. And I think, it's going to be human beings' common sense that is going to be taking over. And I don't really have any fear that we as humans are going to be, restricting, the basic parameters of what AI can do and cannot do without our input.
So you don't think AI is going to take over the world?
I do not think that. No, I do not think so.
Do you think it's going to take over the restaurant business?
It's going to help me. It's going to help me. No, I think it's actually going to help me. Like, for example, one of the things that I'm fanatic is about giving my customer the absolutely, freshest, most delicious product when they come to the stores. And sometimes it's very difficult for me to time the time that a chicken breast comes off the grill and, when the customer comes in. So you have a perpetual, perfect, fresh chicken breast whenever the demand comes. So you have the demand and offer kind of balance. And with the help of AI, I'm actually going to work on a project together to develop an algorithm that is going to be tied up to my register so that I know where the demand is coming with sensors and probably meta glasses that the grill cook is going to have. So it's going to look at the grill, it's going to know how many chicken are on the grill, and then the register is going to tell us how the demand is, and the sensors are going to tell us how the heat of the grill is, so that I can create a perfect algorithm in order to have a grill that produces enough chicken to meet the demand when it comes and have less chicken when the demand is not there. And a project like this, I try to do it over the last 10 years with PhDs in computer sciences and all these, and it would have taken years and a very expensive project. And now with the help of AI, I can probably do it within a few weeks.
Do you think people are going to lose jobs in the restaurant business?
I don't think so, because I don't want to go to a restaurant where a machine is going to be talking to me. I still want a human being to be there. So I don't see Chicken Kitchen not having the same amount of employees working behind the counter and taking care of my customer. Because when you go to a restaurant, it's not just, the experience of the food. All my friends tell me, how do you have such amazing, special, wonderful people working at Chicken Kitchen? Is because I treat them with love and respect and treat them very, very well. And I want them to treat my customer the same way. And that's why the experience at Chicken Kitchen is so positive.
And we really should mention that the whole concept of Chicken Kitchen is about healthy fast food. It's like, it's not really fast food, it's fast casual, but the whole idea is to have healthy fast food. So the idea for healthy fast food came from where?
Healthy fast food is an idea that came from my background. I'm Mediterranean. My mother was Greek, my father was French, and I love Mediterranean food. And when I came to the States in the 80s, it was all fried food, burgers, high fat, high cholesterol. I call it the three big sins. It's fat, sugar, and what is it? Fat, sugar.
And fried.
No. It's fat, sodium. It's fat, sugar, and sodium. Those were the pillars of the fast food industry. It was those three ingredients because our palate loves those three things. So for me, it's how do I still satisfy the palate by giving delicious tasting food, but doing it in without frying. The fast food was hooked on serving burgers or serving fried chicken with sodas and processed food because it's cheap. The profit margins were very high. It's very difficult to do freshly prepared with high ingredients, real product, fast food, and still make money. So that was the impediment for so many years. And Chicken Kitchen was one of the pioneers. And basically, I kind of cracked the code on how to deliver healthy, freshly prepared food at a value that people can afford. And that's what I actually did with Chicken Kitchen.
So, what one piece of advice would you recommend to young people who want to be an entrepreneur?
Be prepared to learn how to deal with pain. Because you're going to have a lot of physical pain, you're going to have a lot of mental pain, you're going to have a lot of mental anguish. So one part of my journey is that I've learned over the last 30, 35 years of my journey is how to deal with pain. And I had a lot of mental issues related to that because I didn't know how to learn with all the pain that I went through at Chicken Kitchen. And after a lot of research, trial and error, I think that I've come to a point where I understand pain, I respect it, I learned how to deal with it, and with Chapti's help as well, Chapti is also very instrumental in helping. I'm at the point where, it's pain is very manageable. So I really urge you, learn how to deal with pain, because and fear and pain are two of the ingredients that stop people from being entrepreneur and being successful entrepreneurs. So once you learn how to deal with that, the sky's the limit.
So, how do you deal with stress?
I have a very, very strict routine. I eat very healthy. I don't drink. I don't eat sugar. I eat a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. I go for a walk every single day. I do strength training at least every day for like 15, 20 minutes. I don't do drugs. I drink very little alcohol. And I mean, that could be a segment that we can talk about every single day because there is so much to unpack in there. But I think that if you have a healthy brain, you have a healthy soul, and you have a healthy body, it's very easy, to deal with pain and stress.
You walk for 2 hours every day.
Yep, every single day.
And if you don't, you get crazy.
If I don't, I feel, like I feel not right. And it's, I advise every single one of you, walking is one of the most underrated miracles because you learn how to think, you learn how to put things in perspective, you learn how to make smart decisions, you can do breathing exercise while you meditate as you walk as well. So if I don't walk, I really don't make good decisions. So I think that walking is literally the secret to my success and to my happy life.
Okay. Christian Mahé de Berdouare, also known as my husband.
Or the chief chickenologist.
Or the chief chickenologist. Thanks for going through and sharing all of this today.
May the chicken be with you and with all of you guys.
And Bakara slept through the whole thing. Are you going to wake up and say hello?
Oh, my baby.
I have like 4 questions.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Oh, sweet life.
I just want to ask 3 questions and, we'll edit this in. As a leader, what's one principle you've never been willing to compromise on?
Okay. I'll ask you the question as soon as you swallow.
No, let me think it for a second.
Let her.
Let me think it over.
What's another one?
Okay. So while he's thinking about that.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. So that's
Let's go. Yes.
So, as a leader, what is one principle that you never want to compromise on?
I think one of the things that is the most important things, and Warren Buffett said it very well, it takes a lifetime to build a reputation, and it takes one stupid mistake to destroy it. So for me, ethics and making the right decision and never break the law is something that I teach my kids and I teach anybody. You gotta make smart decision. You can never do anything that is even a little shade of gray. It has to be either black or white. Use your common sense, and if you know in your heart that it's not right, do not do it.
Good. Let's do this one. How has managing people changed from restaurant number 1 to restaurant number 33?
How has managing people changed from the first restaurant to the 33rd?
Well, when I had 1, 2, and 3 restaurants, it was very easy for me to go around the 3 restaurants every single day.
Yeah.
When you go to 4, 5, that's when most of the chains kind of like break down and people can't make the transition. So I'm very good at building processes and system. And so what you need to do is you need to take a step back. And if you want to run a big business, you need to like create system and processes in order for people to follow those. And once you do that, then you can make the transition.
This would be something that would be great for restaurant owners to hear. If you were starting from scratch today, what would you do differently, knowing what delivery apps and labor costs look like now? So I don't know how you would.
So if you were starting a restaurant today, what would you do differently? Knowing what all the delivery apps and all the various technology that's now involved in the restaurant industry, how would you do things differently?
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm actually doing it. Chicken Kitchen used to be 1,800 to 2,400 square feet, the size of the location. In the last 3 years, we went down to like 1,200, 1,400 square feet. So 40% of our business today is delivery, DSPs, the delivery service providers, and online ordering. So what I did, and another 40% is takeout and off-premises consumption, so that maybe only 20% of our business is inside the premises. So as a result, what I did is I actually shrunk the sizes of our location.
Yep.
So that's what I was talking about earlier. You need to like continuously evolve and change as facts evolve. So it's a process that I've been doing over the last few years. And today, one of the reasons the Chicken Kitchen is as successful and is, in my opinion, the most profitable fast food chain in the country is because of our small footprint, the low utilization of labor inside the restaurants, because we've evolved with the times. And I've basically created a machine that is basically based on all these new factors that a lot of chains are not basically doing today.
Okay, ready? In your professional opinion, when has a business actually earned the right to scale? How would you do this? I don't know how you would ask that.
Okay.
I don't think there is a right.
Well, yeah, so you would have to ask.
When there is a proof of concept, when there is enough restaurants.
Well, okay. In your opinion, when do you think a restaurant should scale?
Well, there are 2 factors in that. The first one is that the unit economics of the restaurant have to be powerful. It means that the restaurant has to make money. And the second one is that the owner or the entrepreneur who's managing, the business has enough skill to be, instead of being the manager of one location, to actually be the manager of multiple locations. And it takes a different skill from managing one restaurant to managing a new system. That's why I said earlier, you need to be able to be a systems and processes manager in order to create all this infrastructure that is necessary in order for you to scale.
Okay, last one. As a CEO, when everything feels urgent, how do you decide what actually matters?
Okay. As a CEO, crisis management, everything feels urgent sometimes. How do you decide what actually matters?
It's always follow the money. It's always, follow the, to me, my middle name, I tell my kids, is ROI. ROI stands return on investment. To me, is we have limited amount of time in the day. We have limited time of resources. You have to always put those resources where you're going to make the most and the biggest impact. So ROI on time means if you have 10 issues that need to be addressed, pick up the one that's going to make the most impact on the daily life of your restaurant or the profitability of the restaurant. If you're working on 10 projects for the future of the brand, concentrate on the ones that are going to give you the best return on invested time. So ROI is return on invested. It can be return on invested money. It can be return on invested time. It can be a return on invested resources. But make ROI your middle name as well, because everything has to be made a decision based on the ROI.
Let us know one thing from today's episode that resonated with you and send it to us on my social media at Jennifer Valoppi, or you can put it in the comments and we will post and read your responses to help other women who might have missed this episode. Now, every episode ends with a micro action. That's something simple that you can do now to improve your life and move yourself forward. Today's micro action is this. Initiate one focused conversation with your boss or a trusted mentor about how you can grow, increase your visibility, and strengthen collaboration with your team. Remember, every step you take takes you one step closer to your future. And finally, we support the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program and the thousands of young women who are served through mentorship, education, and access to opportunity. If this conversation in any way inspired you, please subscribe, follow me on social media at Jennifer Valoppi, and learn more about Women of Tomorrow, the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program at womenoftomorrow.org. Your donation can help us change the world one young woman at a time. Thanks for listening.